Welcome, travelers. I'm Josh.
And I'm Lee Wanika, and this is Tabletop Journeys, where we will be your not so humble guides on the quest for RPG adventures.
All right, welcome everybody to tonight's episode of Tabletop Journeys. Very excited to be sitting across the microphone, as always, from my co-host, Mr. Lee Wanika Miller. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Glad to hear it. Really excited to be diving into tonight's episode because for the first time in quite a while, WotC has really given us something that was heavily pushed, heavily advertised, and from everything that I have seen so far has delivered. I've been watching a bunch of content on the new starter set. I have literally not opened my box yet. I've taken the plastic off, but it's next to me here, and we're going to be going through the box so I can kind of see all this stuff fresh for the first time, and I'm excited.
I'm also equally excited. I cheated last night. I opened it up for the first time to kind of get a see if my touch feel was kind of the same as what a lot of the other podcasters and talking heads have had to say on it. And yeah, I'm anxious to get into it. I don't want to give spoilers right at this moment, but yeah, I'm anxious to get into it because I think there's a lot of really exciting stuff here to talk about. And I'm really excited to share this with our audience and with everybody who comes to join us here at Tabletop Journeys.
I would totally agree. So without any further ado, let's switch over. I'm going to turn that camera on. So everybody out there watching us on video, I'm going to apologize because there are going to be times that you're going to be facing the side of my head because the box set is over here to my left. So as I'm looking through things, sometimes I'm going to be turning so that you can't necessarily see my face. It's my best side anyway, so that's, you get a step up in the right direction. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in here. So first off, I want to go ahead and talk about something that you and I were talking on the phone earlier today. This sucker's beefy.
Yeah.
Like, what, 6.5 pounds, and it feels it. Like, when I got it in the mail the other day, I was like, oh, okay, no, they came to play. From what I have seen, the quality of the box is really, really good. I'm excited for how this is going to hold up, differently than how like the Essentials kit and stuff like that from the 2014 versions were built. They were much thinner cardboard, to the point that like it was almost not worth keeping. So definitely kind of an improvement on that front, at least in the presentation.
Yeah, definitely the history of D&D box sets going back to TSR days is that they quickly and frequently get destroyed. The box sets are loose, they fall out, stuff eventually you can't keep it in there, and that's when you start losing pieces. That's why some of those old box sets are worth so much if you get them completely intact, because quite honestly, the boxes didn't stay together well. What I noticed when I opened mine was it's a tight fit.
Yep.
So that when you're pulling that top cover part off of the box, you got to give it a good shake. You got to get it under there a little bit, which I think is a very cool feature. I haven't heard anybody really talk about that before, other than us. But I like that feature because as a person, when I do in person, I'm traveling. I don't do any in-person games in my home.
Yeah.
I go to a game store, I go to a con. So as I'm planning to do some learn to plays and work with some kids, I have a kids game that I'm running over at a Catacon in November, Dayton, Ohio. Shout out to Michael Ross and our friends over at the RPG Academy, and Tabletop Cafes are here on our own channel. But what I'm saying is this is something that, despite the fact I'm going to leave some clothing at home because, quite honestly, I need the weight. I got to make up for 6 pounds. This is traveling with me on the plane. This is a piece of work. This might be something that has to go in the carry-on to keep the weight back. But it's worth it.
Yeah. No, I agree too. So when I took the plastic off of my box, I kind of loosened the cover after talking to you a little bit here. And yeah, like it's on there for sure. So, all right. Well, let's crack it open and see what we got here. So I've loosened up the cover a little bit here. It's still you can see kind of the effort. There we go. To get this sucker open. and it still doesn't want to cooperate.
Yeah, you got to give it a good shake.
Yep.
Give it a shimmy shake.
I'm kind of worried. I'm running a very unique setup tonight to go ahead and show the second camera, so I don't want to give too much of a shimmy shake for fear that the Tower of Babel falls down here. So, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw the cover down there for a second. Okay. So very first thing up at the very very top. This is almost comical. Read me first. The quick start guide. That's just amusing to me because again, what have we said that we want starter sets to be? Explicit about what it is that I do first. And here it is saying, read me first. Unpacking the box, what I'm going to find in there, the nature of the game, what's in the box, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Light an explanation of the class cards that we're going to talk about. And then kind of
some basic detail on the adventures.
Like. Yeah.
Some basic details.
Yeah,
on
really
the
handy.
Adventures, and then the back page gives you a depiction of all the other types of things that you'll find within the set, the components. Yep. All in, really well done. It's a little 4-page floppy kind of thing that is awesome and exactly what a brand new player or GM would need.
Yep.
This is as we're looking at this set, big win for Watsy on that one.
As other people have said, it's very board game like, right? It very much kind of fills that board game sort of niche. So, it's built like a board game. So, all right, I'm going to put that off to the side here. So the very first thing that we see in here is the play guide, the reference book. Let's see here. I literally have not even looked through any of this stuff. So,
31 pages.
Yep.
Nicely done.
And again, kind of a bigger description of the components. I will say that I'm excited to go ahead and see the equipment, spell, and the cards that come in this. And we'll talk about why that is at the end of the call here. But really explicit detail on everything that you see in here. Yep. Nice chapter on playing the game.
You got it.
Yep.
The short down and dirty version of what the play guide is. It's the rules, the how to play the game, and then it's the rules glossary. So you have a very nice truncated list. So as you're playing this game, but for the first time, or honestly, even if you're a veteran player, because nobody's great at all these rules, and any of us who've been playing for years have 3, 4, maybe even 5 different iterations of the rules. So if we're looking for a how-to, or hey, how does jumping work in D&D 2024? This is going to be absolutely the thing. Even if I was going to a convention and not running this, you're going to see this in my traveling kit. Yeah. Whether I'm going as a player or as a GM, because it's having the rules that fast and at hand is going to be great.
And so just to illustrate that point, so I turn to the page. It's in alphabetical order, which is nice. And jumping, when you jump, you make either a long jump or a high jump. See also long jump and high jump, which are also separate rules in here. So,
Yep.
It again, it kind of clarifies exactly. Okay, I'm jumping. What am I doing? Oh, well, am I jumping up or am I jumping out? And then there are rules, and it tells you where to go ahead and get that. And then I turn back a page. There's high jump. Long jump is actually on the same page immediately over the fold from the jumping rules. So very easy to find, laid out very well. It's very neat. It's very clean. This is really handy. Like I can see bringing this to my home game, for those quick kind of like rules lookups types of issues.
Absolutely. Not to take us too far away from this, but as everybody knows, we play a lot of Star Trek. I run a lot of Star Trek in person as well as virtually. But when I go to the Star Trek table, because I own the main book, because I own the Quick Start, and because I own a couple other tools, so I've got 2 and the starter set, I have 3 separate rule books, and this is very much like what you find in the Quick Start and the starter set. And the fact that I can sit down at the table and hand those out so that all new players have a quick guide at hand, and then the big book is there also, is exceptionally helpful when you're teaching the game.
Yep.
So again, kudos to Watsy for doing things in a way that's going to work for new players, new GMs. Yep. and like I said, and veterans.
Yep.
You go to a game as a veteran, that's helpful.
Yep. All right, so the next three books, I believe, are going to be the adventures that are in the set here. So we have the Keep on the Borderlands adventure, we have the Wilderness adventure, and then the Caves of Chaos adventure. I think that we
Yes.
should do a bigger episode talking about the adventures themselves, but I like that they're self-contained books because they are
Yes.
independent missions. They can be run independently. They can be run in sequence also, in a
Yep.
way. But I like that they're individual. So we know that if we're running the Keep on the Borderlands book, that's the one that we're looking at. And the way that it kind of illuminates the individual encounters, like that's nice. The way that it's very explicit in terms of what are things that I should be looking at. It's kind
Yep.
of like highlighting like what box text are, when I need to go ahead and read things. I will say that this is one thing that I'm not crazy about in the 2024 rules in general is that the contrast between the things I'm supposed to read and the page I wish was more, but that's such a minor quibble.
Yep.
Like it's more just like a
Yeah.
stylistic choice,
Younger
I'm
eyes
just
will have
old.
an easier time with it than ours.
Exactly.
Let's
Exactly.
call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
But some of the things that I've noticed when I did my read through, my brief read through last night, was that, and honestly, from listening to our friends over at Mastering Dungeons,
Hmm.
Sean and Teos have talked about it. Teos did a nice deep dive. You should, I strongly recommend his videos on the adventure books. We'll do some different stuff, I think, and talk
Yeah.
about other elements of it. But one of the things that he did, which I really appreciated and enjoyed, was he gave some tips and techniques about it that I think will be interesting. When I run this in a couple weeks, I will come back with some of my own. I want to run it before I really get into detail about
Hmm.
what I think might work best. But the zeitgeist would definitely be start with the wilderness, go to the keep. However many you can do, one, you can do two, you can do all four, whatever, however many you want to
Hmm.
do out of the wilderness book on your way to the keep, go to the keep. With the idea being you're traveling to the keep and then
Yeah.
you do admissions out of the keep. So you might do one or two on the way in, do one while you're on the way to the cave, do one of the caves, go back to the keep, and kind
Yep.
of until you start hitting all of them. And there is direction within the book as to how many encounters you would do before you level up. So it's
Yep.
effectively milestone leveling.
Yep.
I believe it's like 4 before you go from level 1 to level 2.
Yep.
So as a GM, it lets you know basically you're doing 4. You pick which 4 you want to do, or you let your players pick which 4 they want to do.
Yep.
And then you can do the level up.
Yep.
And I think that's a really cool way to do it.
Yep, I agree. The other thing I like is that listening through the individual encounters that are in here, and I'm going to highlight this here, talking about the table at the top that that identifies what am I going to need to run this encounter. So it's going to tell me which handouts I need, which monsters I need, which NPCs I want, which equipment I need, all that sort of stuff. And that all goes into the cards that are later in the box here that we're going to get to in a second. But that's really super handy also. I like that styling. I like the way that it calls it out at the very beginning of the adventure. You know, and I think that they've clearly been listening to us on our phone calls.
Absolutely. Definitely a thing that I think is important to know because 9 times out of 10, if you have people who are afraid, it's like, I just don't know what to do in situation X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
So, spelling that out in simple terms, 3, 4 lines, that's static and consistent encounter by encounter
Yep.
will build by time you do. If there's 4 or 5 encounters per book, you've got 5 books. By the time you've run most or all of these encounters, you'll know what you need for any encounter you build
Yep.
or you run beyond this adventure because you've built up that muscle memory just from
Yep.
running through this.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
that's exactly what a starter set is supposed to do.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, so we're moving past the booklets for the adventures themselves. The next thing here is a letter. Oh, to the adventurers. Okay. Are we getting into the handouts? Is that what these are?
Yep, these are the handouts here. So there's a letter that's going to be a handout at some point. We're going to try to avoid many spoilers, if any. There's one spoiler I'm definitely going to throw out here because it's a spoiler that means so much in my heart and soul
Yeah.
that I will have to talk about that. But I'm going to save that for a little bit
Yep.
later. Um, But then you've got the provisioner, which it
Yep.
lists items and what they can be purchased for.
That's handy
Then you
too. It's like
have,
a handout. Yeah.
yep, yep. And then you've got the Drunken Dragon menu. So as a new GM, these are the types of things that are hard. Like, what do things cost? I have to go into this book, that book, what page, whatever. They've got a handout for it. So when your players ask, when they walk in, you've got it right on hand, or you can hand it to them.
Yep.
When you go to the tavern, oh, here's the stuff that's on the menu. I have cool apps on my phone for tavern menus and things like that,
Yeah.
so I can mix it up. But the first time you're running, that can be a lot to manage, right? I actually tend to have that up, have it screenshotted, and then save that elsewhere so it is its own handout,
Yeah.
just like this. Not because I hand it out, but so I can refer to it quickly.
Yep.
So the fact that this is here is a great indication that those are the kinds of things you prep when you do your prep. Yeah. If you want to do a quick prep, whether it's an app or just grab one of these, that's the way to get that done.
Minor quibble here. Yeah. This lacks a little bit of imagination for me because everything is like one gold piece, right? Except for like you get the subtle the subtle joke about how the good stew is one gold piece, and the very good stew is 2. I feel like they could have put a little bit of more variety on this here, like how kind of cute that the slice of cake is out, and maybe they just didn't want to, I don't know, drag out that handout too much. Which I get. That makes sense. But
so I have done some reading and I know about the cake, and I'm going to leave that alone because that's a spoiler. Sure. But I would say that, while it's a little at first level, characters don't have a lot of gold. Like most characters will have less than 10 gold. So the idea is not to punish them for starting. It's here's what you get. Let's make it nice and easy.
Yep.
Is that economically feasible from a narrative sense? Probably not. Could it be better? Probably yes. But if you're trying to teach somebody the game, I think this is more than sufficient. If you're a veteran DM running it for players who just want to play through this to get their characters up to 3rd level to begin whatever your campaign is going to be, you can make it as fancy as you want. You can change this up. You can then take out that app and do all the cool things that are in those apps as well.
Yeah, except it's a handout. So Agreed. Like, why give me a handout where it's just like everything's a gold piece? Like that's, yeah.
Again, I think it's because of who the target audience is for this set.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it while I recognize its limitations.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think my quibbles with this set are going to be few and far between, so I'm going to keep this one.
Okay, fair enough. As we go through, we've got Sacred Services, which is very cool.
Again, very cool.
Yep. It lets you know how much it takes to do certain things. Revival being $2,000 for gold is nice. That's a number that first level characters ain't going to hit. But who knows what's in the caves of chaos, right? Yep. Maybe you land a big score, and if somebody needs to be revived, there's something that can be done. Yep. So very good stuff.
I do also love the subtle kind of joke underneath Sacred Services that donations are encouraged. Like a cleric that's charging $2,000 for revival will still take donations.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Love it.
Yep. And then the trader handout here again. So when you're buying weapons and everything like that, what those prices are going to be.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think that's simple. And these are all things that are in the realm of 3rd level characters. We all know that the player's handbook has much bigger stuff, much more expensive stuff, but these are all going to be in the realm of what a character who gets up to 3rd level might have. Like they're not buying the breastplate at 1st level if they didn't come with it off the character gen, which I don't think any of the characters in this set do. But you get through a couple encounters, you get through some of the caves, you might have enough to do that if you scored well enough. So I think that's kind of cool.
Is a spear really only one gold point? Gold piece?
Yeah.
I keep saying gold point. Huh.
Yep.
Okay. That picture depicts a spear that's way fancier than one gold piece, but that's, again, minor. Yeah. My quibbles here are so minor. Like, I'm going to keep them.
Fantasy economics is not narratively sound, and it never has been. So I leave it with that.
Well, and not just that, but from like a min-maxing point of view, why would you take a longsword when you could take a spear that has reach for one gold piece?
Historically, spears were better weapons.
They were better weapons. They were better crowd control weapons for sure. So
Absolutely. So again, but it's the fantasy, right? If you want to play the fantasy hero, it makes a difference.
yeah, I suppose. So, all right, we're getting into the maps portion here. I like the little locking tab here. This is nice. It kind of keeps everything in the lower part of the box contained. After we, kind of taking out like the big heavy pieces of it here, we're getting into the more fiddly bits. I
Yeah.
like the little locking mechanism. I like. Let's see. Oh, the maps are big.
Oh yeah, these are poster size
These are
maps.
good size maps. Yeah, 2x3. Nice detail. Yeah, I like this.
Yep.
I
There's
would get
some
a little
big
cranky
maps.
about
There's a
maps that
couple
fold
smaller
like
ones,
that
but
because you're never going to get them to lay flat again, but that's, kind of is what it is. I'm assuming Cave B is on the back. Yep, okay. Yep, there's Cave B. And again, spoiler free, we're going to go ahead and keep from showing too many of the images on the maps, but they're nice. These are nice looking maps.
yeah.
And
One of the
useful
things that's
too. Like
important
that's
to
the thing
note is
too.
that the adventures will tell you which map to take out for
Yep.
which encounters. So that when you see Cave H, Cave F, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
that's important to note. So there are a number of encounter maps, and there are also regional maps. So there's a big map of the keep.
Mm-hmm.
There's and all of these maps are two sided. The keep has the
Yep.
wilderness map on one side, and then the caves have the cave on one side, and I forget what's on the other side of that
Well,
one. But
so I'm up through caves A and B are on one sheet. Caves C and D are
yeah,
on another. And I'm assuming cave E and F are on the same. Oh no,
nope.
that's F
Cave
and G.
E, Cave E has the regional
Okay.
map on it.
Okay.
So you get your nice little regional map, and then on that one, and then that's where you get into some of the other ones, like
Yep. Okay. So cave H and I, and then what are you here? So you're not titled. What are you? This looks like some sort of a chamber, but does not actually tell me. Oh, Cave K. Okay, there it is. Okay. All right. So I like that these maps don't have so much kind of specific to the adventure on them, so they're reusable, right? If I'm running a cave adventure outside of this quest, these maps are useful. Like I could have used these maps previously, so and cave maps tend to be a little finicky. All right, here we go. Yep, now I have a regional map. It looks like this is the keep itself. Yep, there's the keep. And you said Cave E is on the inside there? Nope. Okay, so that's the wilderness map. And then that's the keep map. That's nice. It's well done. The art is simple, which I like,
I love an encounter map that is simple enough that allows me to put scatter terrain in. Since I've been painting a
Yep.
lot lately, soon to be seen on the vlog and other things we do.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to have places where
Yep.
scatter terrain is going to look
Well,
really,
so
really
yeah,
sharp.
so this is too big to go ahead and put like scatter train on. So this is the actual keep map itself.
Yeah.
For those of you out there in the audience, while I am showing what I am unboxing here on camera, Lewanika can't see it, so he doesn't necessarily know what I'm looking at. But
Yeah.
but the other maps certainly you could put scatter train on for sure. There's certain the
Oh yeah, like
scale is right. Yeah.
yep. Yeah, I'm looking at the Tamarack stand, which has all those nice trees that are there.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole carrying case full of trees that I've based and flocked that I can put this down on the table, and I
Yep.
can put trees in each of those spots, so those line of
Yeah.
sights show up, and
Yeah.
it'll be beautiful. And I love the way that looks.
I really like. So now I'm looking at the Caves of Chaos map itself. I really like the scale of this about how you can kind of pull the team out a little bit and show them
Yep.
kind of the layout of everything here. That's really great. And there's
Yeah,
KV
your
on the
regional
backside.
maps. your regional maps are isolinear maps
Yep.
versus top down,
Yep.
which I think is a lot of fun. Very good
Yep.
from a perspective and a stylistic point of view.
Yep. I like that. Okay, so we're getting into some smaller maps. These are no longer 2x3. These are like 18 inch by 24 inch. But here are the fens. Here's the Tamarack stand. Yep. Which again, like as a nice small encounter map, like that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for prep. You can set that up. You can put a sheet over it, so when you're ready for it, it's right there. And
Yep.
then all you drop your scatter train, ready to rock.
Yep. Oh, here's the trail map. So I saw this one mentioned on Mastering Dungeons. Yeah, I could use the hell out of this.
Yep. Yeah,
And
this
there's
is.
the other side of it is the woods. Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the value of this set towards the end,
Yep.
but these maps are incredibly hyper reusable
Yep.
in multiple scenarios. Like they are specific places in this scenario, but you will be able to use these maps again and again and again in situation after situation.
Yep.
These are the kind of maps. You add a couple more that you might have from a few other things or some specific mats of whatever you're running. Good Chessex mat, or a piece of paper that you're drawing on, maybe some tiles, some cheap cardboard tiles or whatever, and you've got everything you're going to need.
Yeah.
For a full campaign. This is really, really nice.
This is really those maps. Solid A on the maps. I like those a lot, and I agree with you totally. I think that they have really great reusability.
Yeah, so. Honestly, I will have to play them to see how well they play and how well people react to them when they hit the table. But I could see these moving into S tier once players roll dice and are using these maps.
Yep. Okay, so now we're up to the class cards. So the four different classes that they give you here: the cleric, fighter, rogue, and wizard. I'm gonna go ahead and just pull out the cleric ones just to look at those. And they kind of proceed through level. So here's the first one. So again, kind of attribute scores on the left there. Initiative, kind of real, and still including like rules as far as like what those numbers actually mean. I like the equipment slots. That's a very kind of a crossover between board gamey and video gamey, where you have like these slots that you can put things. It's very interesting.
Yeah. So as you're showing that, I did want to point out something to the audience if they were unaware. There's a couple of things that I really like about this. In order to make the game simple, they have done something that a lot of us old-time gamers have been talking about here or there and everywhere, where they don't list the actual attribute score. So you don't see somebody with an 18 or a 16 or a 17. They are only listing the bonus, the attribute bonus here to make this simpler to understand, because no new player needs to have to try to figure out why 16 equals +1 and then ask the question, which one do I add? Right. I've been at so many tables where we're like, add your strength bonus, and they're adding like, I rolled a 44. Huh? Well, yeah, it's 16 or it's 18 plus this, and this. I'm like, yeah, you need the bonus, not that.
Yeah.
So this eliminates all of that by just doing the bonus, and then it puts each of the skills that apply under that stat, and it tells you what they are. It doesn't tell you how things break down. So if you're trained in a skill, you'll know that because that skill is higher than the bonus. That's how you know which skills you're trained in. It doesn't actually tell you I'm trained in this, I'm not trained in that. It just puts whatever you're adding to each of those things. And so the math is there, it's done, but they're keeping it real simple. That way people don't have to figure things out. They can just play and do the thing. So just something I thought was cool and interesting to note.
Yeah. That's kind of a takeaway from Powered by the Apocalypse, that they're getting rid of the attribute scores almost totally and just showing the bonuses.
Yep.
I think that while that definitely helps streamline, it raises some interesting questions. Like, I know the answer to this question, but if I'm looking at the cleric and I'm looking at my intelligence skills, right, I have a +1 modifier. Why do I have +4 in Arcana and +6 in Religion?
Yep.
Right.
And that's where I am hoping that that information is in the player's guide. So if somebody
Well, let's
has
look.
that question, you look in the player's guide. I'm hoping that's where that is. And if there's any veteran at the table, they'll tell you, well, it's because if you're trained in it, so you get double that bonus, and that's why. So you get your proficiency bonus plus this bonus, and of course, if you are, you might, if you're expertise in something,
Well,
uh,
actually, so that's
that
actually kind of. I'm gonna old guy for a second here. If my attribute bonus is +1, Arcana
yep,
being +4 makes sense to me because that gets my proficiency bonus. Although at level 1, is my proficiency bonus +3? No, it's +2.
2 and 1 is 3.
Right, but my Arcana scale is
Yeah,
4.
which means I think they're expert in Arcana. I think they have expertise in Arcana
Then how
and
is my religion
religion.
6?
Couldn't tell you.
That's what.
Oh,
So
top of my head?
that's.
Unless it's because of a feat or something. I don't know.
It could be.
The other thing that's important is they don't mention feats by name here. They're all included
They're just kind of
in
rolled
when we
in.
get to
Yeah.
the cards. We'll talk about it. They're included in your backgrounds, and they're included as separate things. So you won't as features on your background cards. So you won't see them as a separate call out on this card. Again,
Yep.
that's for simplicity. It does bring up a concern I have about this, which I'll save for the end. When Josh said he had a couple quibbles, I have one or two, and it really does surround some of these math things. It's going to be simple for people to play now. My concern is what happens when they're done with.
Well, what happens when they're done with level 3?
Like how do they what's the transition look like?
Yeah. Ugly, I think, honestly. This is great. But yeah, I think it's a big question about and not just that too, but they chose these 4 classes because these are the 4 subclasses. These are the 4 classes that get subclasses at level 3. What if I'm playing a barbarian? What if I'm playing, are these options, that kind of thing. This is almost like a take from Hero Quest, right? Where you've got the 4 characters and you just have those 4 characters. That's it.
Well, remember in 2024, all classes get their first subclass at level 3. It's after that things change. So everybody gets it at 3. So that's not going to be the issue. The issue is going to be when you go to level 4, this card's no longer going to work. How does somebody transition from this to a standard character sheet? Mm-hmm. What's that transition look like? So that's kind of where my question would go.
Yeah.
But looking at the cards, the other thing that's important to know, the first card will be level 1 on one side, level 2 on the second side. Yep. The second card is going to be level 3 with 1 subclass on the first side, and level 3 with the second optional subclass on the back side.
You actually get a choice at level 3 about which one you want to play.
Light.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which honestly I think is great for beginner play also because it makes it very easy to be like, ooh, I don't want to play this one. I want to play the other one. Right? Exactly. It kind of makes that transition real easy.
Yeah, you don't have so many choices. You've got 2 choices. It's a great way to get it started. Mm-hmm. But what you have here for fighter, you've got the champion and the Eldritch Knight. I wish they had chose something else. Battlemaster's way too complicated.
Battlemaster's way too complicated. Really
pick. So I get why they did it. It's just not my favorite one.
Yep.
But whatever.
Yep.
For rogue, you have the assassin and the thief.
Yep.
Solid choices because of the iconity of them, if I'm going to make up a word today.
Yep.
And then for wizard, you have the evoker and Josh's favorite, the abjurer.
The abjurer, yep. Abjurer Josh, yep.
Which are for the cleric, solid, strong choices for wizards.
For cleric, you've got
light and life.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Very and I got stereotypical cleric classes, yeah.
Yep. So and light is my favorite, hands down by far.
So an interesting development also, this is something I think that we're going to see going forward because, again, you and I have had this conversation on numerous occasions about this, talking about D20 tests. While I was trying to go ahead and figure out their skill math, in the section about D20 tests in the thing, it talked about adding modifiers to their base, to the roll, right? So it's add these modifiers to the numbers rolled, relevant ability modifier, right? Circumstantial bonuses and penalties. That's the, you're gaining a +2 to this check as opposed to advantage or disadvantage, something like that. I'm sure that advantage and disadvantage will factor in at some point here, but that's a new rule. That's new. Not something that had been in Dungeons and Dragons anyway, had been in other systems that we've talked about before, and we have talked about whether or not we should roll it into WotC or not.
I think it is in a weird way, and I think this was designed to make that a little easier to talk about when it happens. Cover being the thing where you do circumstantial bonuses. So cover doesn't provide advantage or disadvantage. Cover provides +2 or +5, or you can't hit them.
Well, then I am going to
right?
make you take away all of the grief that you gave me about circumstantial bonuses in the Relics book.
I am simply not going to have that discussion with you here on air. We'll save that for later. Or better yet,
I'm
if
right.
you as the audience want to hear us have that discussion out in public, let us know.
No.
What we'll do is we'll do some kind of Discord chat just for that.
Right.
Because I have thoughts.
Yeah.
Let's move on, though.
Mostly around, I'm sorry, Josh, I was wrong. Okay, so I like the gold piece tokens. Those are handy. Again, very board gamey,
Yep. And I should note that what's really cool, and I did this with my set to kind of show folks. I'm going to try to put this in front of the camera here in a way so we can see it. See if I can do this so the camera picks up on it. I put one of the tokens that we're going to talk about later in a coin case to keep it nice handy. and neat and stuff. So I originally got these based on the recommendation of a fellow STA player. So I put the Star Trek tokens in those. So just finding what size works best for each one is my next thing. And I'm going to go out and buy some more coin caps for these, so I can pop them all out of the cardboard. I can put them in. There's a couple different sets that you can get on various places that they come with nice little handy cases. So I will be finding that out. Once I find out what I have,
I will
definitely post that up to let you know. Here's what I'm using for my set.
Because I would bet that these gold piece tokens are probably nickel sized.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check. So this is the quarter size, which is a little bit larger, but you can't get much tighter than that on this. So,
and that's a monster token, right? So that's the next one.
Yeah, a monster token is going to fit in a quarter one with a little room to breathe.
To go. Yep.
3 tokens, I'm thinking, are probably going to be dime. Would be my guess. Dime, maybe nickel.
Might be. Probably nickel. Nickel from the look of it, but that's.
Yeah. And I would definitely say dime for the power tokens, the life tokens, or the 1 point life tokens, with the idea being there's going to be a lot of room with them, but it's going to keep them safe and they won't get lost because they'll get in a case, and then you'll be able to keep them. So, and it's really cool when you toss them out at the table. People catch it. It's awesome.
All right,
I do it all the time in Star Trek, and it works really, really well.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. I like that a lot. Okay, so I'm looking at the next punch out of monster tokens. What are these down here? Sorry, you can't see that. The little
these are, so when you take your hero tokens, you can actually set them in that so they stand up. So your monster tokens lay flat, but your hero tokens stand up in that little standy thing.
There we go.
Now that won't work if your hero tokens are in. Your hero tokens won't stand up if you're putting it in a cap like this.
Yep.
But again, that's a choice. You could leave the hero ones out, or you might just use regular figs. But if you're just starting out with this box set, you're not trying to go all in on the cost. Play them like you have it, and I think you'll be awesome. The set, we'll see that shortly, has these nice little baggies for you to keep things like this if you're not going to do something as fancy as put them in caps.
Nice.
So the set does come with a way for you to save, preserve, and protect your tokens.
Here we go. Here are the power tokens and the hit point tokens. Yeah, dime size definitely for those. Probably nickel size for the 5 HP tokens. Maybe quarter size again for the gem tokens.
Quarter size for the gems.
Yep. Yeah, super board gamey. Yep. Which, for all the right reasons.
Yep, and I'm not mad at it.
Nope. I mean, it's like they do this
when
for a
reason.
When we
say super board gamey, that is not a dig, that is a celebration.
Nope, it is an observation, exactly. I would be curious if once you get those in the little plastic housing, how they still fit in the box. Although you said the plastic tokens come with their own carrying case, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to show you kind of what those coin cases come in. Not all of them come this way, but this is
Yep.
my STA token section. So you see, there's a nice little
Yeah.
carrying case. It's got all the different rows. It's nice. I can close it up. Everything stays nice and
That's
secure. I
nice.
put this in my travel kit.
Yep.
So I would recommend that.
Yep.
For larger ones, they have larger sets. So you just I will say that you may end up making your own tokens or whatever, putting them in there to fill this out so it's
Yep.
nice and full. Or you can use empty spaces as dice
Yep.
holders.
Yep.
So this becomes your travel kit. You can put your dice because as we move on through this, you'll see we'll get to the dice
Yep.
in a short while.
All right. Well, let's dive. So I am now down into the bottom of the box here, and a couple of components here, and some really interesting stuff. Let's start with the dice first of all. Old guy eyes. I like a set of high contrast dice, and I like the fact. So even though they don't really mention advantage in the thing, I do like that this is a full 10 die set with or an 11 die set with the 2d20s, the 4d6s, and the percentile dice. It's a nice.
Yeah.
Seems like that's a nicer set of dice than we have gotten in previous sets. So I'm happy about that.
Very. I did have a question. I was wondering if your dice were the same color as mine because I have these nice orangey ones,
Yep.
somewhat reddish orange.
Yeah, mine are like
Is
red.
that the same color as you had?
Yep, mine are like red.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
I was just wondering if they had done different colors. Not because it's bad or good, just
Yep.
because I was curious.
Yep.
In addition to a great set of dice, they also have the baggies.
The little
which
baggies. Yep.
I'm showing everybody now.
Yep.
And I actually put one of the tokens. I took it out of the cap, and that way you can kind of see
Yep.
it in
Okay.
there.
Yep.
So you can kind of see how they go. So basically, you've got a bag for your various tokens, as
Yep.
well as the bag that
4 or
holds the
5
dice.
different bags. Yep. That's nice.
Yep, they're resealable. They work really nice.
Yep.
It's a great setup.
Yep. I guess the question with that is that if I take the tokens again, kind of thinking about this away from just it being a D&D set and thinking of it more as a board game, right? I guess the question for that is that if they give me 4 bags, so I'm kind of like showing the layout of this bottom box here. You have the 2 slots where the cards go, you have the slot where the dice go, the slot that right now has the empty bags in it, and then an empty slot down below. They give me 4 bags and only 3 places to put stuff. I'm not sure how else, unless there's something under the combat trackers, or nope, that just seems to be more pads. Yeah, so it's not there. Just again, kind of an observation that
Yeah,
you
I think the issue is that
they
the
run out of space.
tokens when you put them.
There's only so room. There's only so much room. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the tokens when you put them in the bags, as long as you get the air out of them, they lay pretty flat. You
Yep.
can probably put a couple of them in any one slot.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Not, I mean, is it perfection? No, but at the end of the day, I'm going to get my tokens in caps, and they're going to be in a separate thing. Anyway,
Right. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. It's more just an observation. Yeah. So, all right. So let me go ahead and let's see. I like the banded plastic sets or wrapping on the cards here. That's nice. Looking into the background, these look like all the character cards that go on the class boards.
Yep. That sit right there on the right hand side of the class boards.
Yeah.
Your background and your
background and species and
background species,
and then all your items. Your
items cards, which there's spots for.
Yep.
Beautiful your spell art. Cards. If you're a spellcaster, there's spots for.
Yep. Yep. I like that the art on the magic items and stuff. That's very simple. I like that. Oh, I like so I'm looking at Burning Hands, and that kind of very clearly illuminates what the range is on the spell. That's very cool.
It is very interesting, and very appreciated that they cover the range stuff exceptionally well.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of that.
That's very cool. I like that a whole lot. These are these are great. I like those a lot.
Absolutely.
The cards are
And
yeah, they're pretty robust. Like they're a little thin, but no worse than you would think for like regular like cards. So it's
yeah,
fine.
for the cost, and again, we'll talk about the value at the very end, but
Yep.
I get it and I like it.
Yep.
It's also important to note that they have color coordinated these as well.
Yep.
So, as Josh has shown you, you've got your species cards, which are yellow. You have your background cards, which are that maroon color. You have your spell cards, which are blue, and you have
Magic items,
your
which are purple. Yep.
magical items, which are purple.
Yep.
And as a big fan of the color purple, not just the movie and the play and the musical and the Broadway show, but the actual color itself, I can tell you I love the fact that the magic items are purple.
Yep.
Like that's I'm gonna call S tier on that alone.
Yep.
That I find hot.
Yep. All right.
Uh,
Let's see here.
yeah, you want to show the folks the other side
Yep.
of the
I am.
those same cards here?
I am taking them out of their plastic right now. That is, that
Yes.
it's always the tough part, right? This is always the finicky part. All right, there we go. Let's see here. Yeah, so these are the NPCs. Named, they're in alphabetical order, which is always handy. I can see
Yep.
these going really nicely, although they're probably double sided, aren't they? Yeah, so you don't want to put them in like Magic the Gathering style sleeves, but maybe like baseball card style sleeves in like a binder or something would be handy. And
Yep.
then so you got NPCs, which are orange, a different shade of more orangey than the species, which is
Yep.
handy. And then all of your mundane equipment, which is green. Again, very clear about what it does. Again, very much suited for those class cards.
Yep. And
Very
let
yeah, that's great. Love it.
yeah, I was gonna say let's call out the fact that when you look at like weapons specifically, I'm gonna see if I can get that up there. You'll see it's got these nice
Huh,
little
we pulled
bright
the same
red
one.
things, so you can see that, so you know exactly how you're rolling if that's what you've equipped your character with.
Yep, yep, I love it. Yeah, we totally
Similarly, armor has
accidentally
a
grabbed the
similar
same weapon.
notification as well.
So, yeah, and then yeah, even the NPCs like very simple. Front side is their picture and their name and that they're an NPC, and then backside, yeah, so it tells you like what monster card to use for them, a
Yep.
couple of facts about them. Uh, okay, and some rumors. So is that something that everybody has? Is that? Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yep. So the
Yep.
monster cards will give you the stats when
The
you get
stat block.
into
Yep.
a conflict or combat encounter. But as far as running the NPC, it's this.
Yep.
So I'm going to look at Yvette, for example. She's a human bank guard. So you use the guard monster card for her combat. So as a GM, you're going to put this card out. You're going to grab the human guard, and so when you get to the adventure that has this NPC in it,
Yep.
you'll have both of those cards handy depending on how the situation
Yep.
evolves.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I like those an awful lot. I think that those are super duper handy, and something that we have been thinking about also, which we'll talk about at the end of the show. So that's yeah. All right. Next thing in here, let's see. So the combat track. Oh, that's just a okay. That's just a divider. Okay, I'm not worried about that. The combat tracker pad. So I, as a big fan, I have used combat tracker pads for a really really long time in my home game. These are super duper handy. These are a little bit more involved than I use. It looks like they are. Oh, okay. It's hit the 4 character classes. It's tracking like death saves and stuff like that. Yeah, super duper handy. Love it. Love it. That's just
If
great.
you're a new GM, this is very cool. I do something a little different that I find when I'm running works better for the way my brain works than writing it linearly like this. I'm not going to go into that here. I think that's actually something that I should probably do one of my vlogs on
Sure.
to show one of the techniques I use.
Yep.
But again, if you don't understand this, the technique I use will not help you.
Yeah.
So again, this is where you want to start.
Yeah.
When you're comfortable with this and you understand this, that's when you get to the point where some of these other techniques really work. Because I used to write like things out just like this and worked with trackers like that a lot.
Yep.
And then what I found was at a certain point, I changed over to a different system that was a little easier for me to do. But you've got all these cards to go through. That's a lot of
That's a lot of
adventures and
combat.
a
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
lot of encounters
Yep.
before you get to the point where you need to worry about
Yep.
trying a new technique.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
I like this setup. I'm very pleased with this. This is the kind of thing I needed when I got started.
All right. So the last set of cards here that we're gonna see. Let's see.
There's two of them. There's two things.
Okay, yeah. So it's the monster cards, and it also looks like, are these like ability cards? Or they're like
They're actual information cards.
yeah.
So since the game is designed for 4 players, there's 4 cards that tell you what you can do on your turn, and on the backside, it gives you the details about action. So while that information is still in your player's guide, you got a quick reference card that you can hand to each player as you're getting going.
Yep. Okay. And those are class specific. Is that?
No, that's just these are the actions you can take in
Oh,
combat.
okay. I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, and then on the backside, these are specific actions that you would take on your turn.
Yep.
So, like for example, attack, dash, disengage, dodge, help,
Okay.
hide, influence, magic,
Yep.
ready, search, study, and utilize.
Those are
And
super handy. I mean, that's honestly
this is amazingly useful, and it's not for starters
No.
because anybody who's been playing for a while, all
Yeah.
of these things have changed over the editions.
Yep.
And if you're playing 2024 and you want to know the new one, you don't have to dig through the big tome anymore.
Yep.
You got a card.
Yeah.
I cannot conceive of me running 2024 Dungeons and Dragons without this one of these cards in my hands.
Yep. I think those are super handy. Yep. All right, and then the much heralded monster cards themselves. Again, the purple border, beautiful art on the front, and then full comprehensive stat block on the back. Yeah, very much look like their regular stat block. No little bit of information about the creatures also. I am envious of the way that they were able to go ahead and get all that information on a card here. I would say, yeah, they're good sized cards. Look like 3x5 cards. So yeah, that's gonna be great. And every monster you could imagine in the book here. Yeah, so everything that you need. Weirdly, not in alphabetical order, but that's... oh, no, I guess they are. Never mind. I just don't know my alphabet. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm noticing now, which I didn't notice on my first look through, and this might be pertinent to some of our TTJ discussions, Josh, is different cards are at different font sizes. So if you look at the card for the Bugbear as compared to the animated flying sword, those look like they might be slightly different font sizes in certain sections.
Not on the front of the card. The front of the card's the same.
No, I'm looking at the actions. No, maybe not. Maybe I think
so. It's that
that gray border is a lot smaller than the rest of the information.
Right, but that's always the same.
Okay,
right, that's always the same size. Because if you look at the back of the Bugbear Warrior and the animated flying sword, like those are the same. Yep.
I was looking at one that didn't have any, and I saw that difference. So, all right, cool.
Yep, there you go. So
a couple different font sizes on each one to make sure everything fits.
Yeah, I mean, totally consistent. Yeah, within itself, but always the same. So that's those are great. Like those are going to be super handy. I think that for a brand new DM who's running these, giving them a card with all the information that they need, that's great. Like no complaints. That seems fantastic. So,
yeah, I love this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
so
I think we're at the bottom of the box.
We're at the bottom of the box. So, yeah. There's a lot in here, and I think that there's a lot in here that's going to be really useful, not just for your NPC, for your brand new DMs, but also for experienced people. Like we were talking about, like, the gold coins, like all the punch outs are going to be handy, even just the fact that it's got all of these tokens, like, like I'm a token fiend. I have largely gotten away from painting figs and now using skinny minis. Here we are. Now we've got more stuff. I think that it's also great that like large monsters have bigger tokens. I like the fact that they're kind of eliminating the question of like who's on my side and not. enemies are flat tokens, the other ones stand up. I think that there may be some options to go ahead and make the monster token stand up, but maybe they may not even be worth it. So, yeah, a really, really interesting set with a lot of really cool stuff in it. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how some of these things are going to be useful. I think for me, the most useful thing in here are the maps. I think they're the most versatile thing. And I think that as far as like, the cards and everything like that, it's interesting to see how they did it. Because, spoiler alert, Lewinik and I are putting together a project which is going to have a deck of cards along with it. So it is good to kind of see how they did it, to take some guidance on what we should consider and how we should do it going forward. So.
Absolutely. For me, I think the maps again absolutely reusable. I'm going to be all over that. I really like the NPC cards because I struggle with
Sure.
the types of things I need to bring to different situations and always trying to find a way to pack lighter. And having those NPC cards for the adventures are cool because they're very specific. Mm-hmm. But those monster cards will tell you what to grab. That's effectively like 3/4 of the monster manual or a quarter of the monster manual and the quarter that I tend to use the most anyway. Yep. Those are they've got a carrion crawler in there. Yes. Very, one of the very first things I did was deal with the carrion crawler. They've got the goblins in there. They've got all the things, right? So you can never have too many goblins to field. So I think having those cards so I can run them pretty directly from the card is going to make my games flow faster, easier. It's less stuff I have to print. Josh can attest. The volume of things I print prior to going to a convention is insane. And this is going to prevent me from having to do that for a lot of things. I won't need to print anything that I have a card for now.
Yeah, these are great. Yeah, absolutely. And I would be interested to see if there will be more card sets like these coming out in the future. If people find these really useful and they really resonate, which everybody that I have heard so far, it seems like they are really resonating with folks. I'd be curious to go ahead and see if card sets become a path forward for them, like lean on their experience making Magic the Gathering and making cards, probably the infrastructure to print and design cards, and kind of blur the line a little bit more between Magic and D&D.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to the power of cards as a new player.
Yep.
I've talked about how I got started with 5e because I've been away from D&D specifically for a hot minute. When I came back and people wanted me to run D&D, I had to learn that. One of the easiest ways to learn 5e was buying the card packs that they had that had the different abilities, the different spell cards, specifically the spell cards. Yeah. It was hard for me to remember what each spell did, even though I had the books. Looking them up in the game was really not awesome.
Yep.
But having one of the binders that they had that had this card slots for the character sheets, and I've got one kicking around. I'll have to show it when at some point. But having that and being able to put the different spell cards in when I did my character spell loadout was awesome. Then I didn't have to look and fine print and put my old man glasses on to see what's on the sheet. I could just flip to these are the spells. And when I used a spell, I flipped it over. So it was gone. Or when I used the slot, I would, once I was out of all the slots, I would take those spells away from being used. It was very efficient and it helped me learn the game infinitely faster.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Yeah. A lot of really, really nice stuff in here and clearly designed for new people coming to the game, and trying to make people who are familiar with board games help that transition easier. There's a lot of kind of board game layout logic in this, and I think that it works well. It really helps set the case for what this box set can do for people. I am excited. This is good stuff. I'm excited to dive more into the adventures to see what the adventure writing is like. I'm curious to go ahead and see how they did there. But yeah.
Well, the other thing I wanted to do is kind of talk about the value of the set because let's be honest, $50 or right around that as the SRP is pretty hefty for a starter set. Most starter sets tend to
We're like
roll
half that,
in
yeah.
at the 20, 25, maybe $30 range.
Yep.
But look, this is 2025, and even the Star Trek starter set was a bit more,
Yep.
right? This is probably more on the expensive side. However, for the value,
Yep.
insane.
Yeah.
I heard somewhere I was watching some channel, and they were talking about if you account for inflation, the original red box was about 50 modern dollars.
Yeah, I would be shocked if anybody looks at this and says that it's not a value for $50. Like that we
Yeah,
have we got Strixhaven for $50. This is way better. Without even reading through the adventure, this is better. This is a better
yeah.
value. Just from the
The
number from
maps alone, if you
oh
were to go out
yeah
and buy this quality maps
yeah
from any number of different sources,
absolutely
you're going to be spending a lot more,
yep
or you're going to be doing some kind of subscription to
yep
get multiple maps and wait multiple months to get this many maps of this quality,
yep
and probably spend close to the $50 just in maps alone. Of each of these card sets
yeah
is worth their weight in gold.
for sure.
Well, maybe not gold, but
Well,
certainly worth their weight in
yeah.
pewter.
I mean, yeah,
You know, you know,
totally.
your each of these card sets. If somebody said
Oh God.
those monster cards were $50, I'm like, that's a little high, but I would pay that.
I mean, I would
You
pay
know,
I would pay $10-15 just for the card sets. So like that's
yeah, each,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
well,
you
sorry,
know,
let me rephrase just to go ahead and make sure that I'm being kind of like intellectually honest. If I needed them, if these card sets were offered to me, I would put a value of about $15 on them, just for the cards themselves. And that is as somebody who is currently like designing cards and pricing what a deck of cards, like a deck of custom cards costs. So there's a ton in here. Would I necessarily buy them? I may not need them, and I may not pay the $15 for it, but as a free add-on to the starter set to go ahead and really help lay out how to make characters and how to progress characters, that's great. It's great. Like I think back to like the Essentials kit, even the newer Essentials kit, right? Where with the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, where like as those characters leveled up, it basically said pick this and this, right? And it does that a little bit with the class cards, but it also at least gives them some choices in terms of like what's your equipment loadout, and it makes that very explicit and very sort of tangible, which I think will help kind of make it feel more realistic, right? I can see a situation where, two people that are playing, right? I know that they're designed for 4 characters, but like 2 people that are playing, one running and one playing a character, plays through all 4 classes, or even kind of like you did with Marty when you were a kid, you're playing all 4 classes. Like it gives you that opportunity to be like, okay, I found magic armor. Do I want to give it to the fighter, or do I want to give it to the cleric? Which one am I going to do? That sort of thing.
yep.
So it really kind of allows a really clean loadout for learning, kind of laying out the real basics of the game. It very much has now board gamified the game, at least at its early levels. And I think that your question about what happens at level 4 or once they're done with this material is a really, really salient one. And I think we will find out.
Yeah, I would. So one of the things we didn't touch on because we stayed away from the adventures because we're really going to dive into those separately and get into that.
Yep.
Is that the adventures are truly designed for when you're a new group forming. You've got one GM that you want to switch things off. So there has been some minor criticism that I've heard. Well, there's not a lot of narrative here. It is literally encounter after encounter, and then the story
Yep.
you're going to bring to the table. Well, one, that's the D&D I grew up with. The story we brought is what we brought.
Right.
These were the encounters that kind of we built our story around.
Yep.
Our heroes grew around and through the encounters. So I love the fact that we're kind of getting back to that a little bit. There's a legit dungeon. There's a legit dragon.
Yeah.
Those are awesome factors. I mentioned early in this episode that I was going to talk about one spoiler that really, really warmed my heart, and that is simply the fact that at some point in one of the encounters, the goblins say Briort, and I love that. That's my send up. Glenn Senior was one of my earliest GMs, and he loved that line and used it all the time. Not just when my scoutmaster and the father of one of my close friends sat down to play with us, but he would just use that at random times.
Yeah.
That was just a thing he did, and I loved it, and
Nice.
I love it now.
Nice.
He's long since passed, but the fact that that's back and in the current game,
yeah, love it. Yeah,
awesome.
All right, so overall, I think a successful starter set, a really well thought out starter set, which I think was sorely needed. I'm interested to go ahead and read through and kind of flesh out kind of what the adventures are. And I'd be very curious to go ahead and hear how they're playing at the table. So if you have played any of these adventures in the starter set, please leave your comments down below. We'd love to go ahead and hear kind of what are the things that you like about the adventures and the way that they're written and the way that they're flowing. Do you find the kind of the lack of narrative as a problem? Or are you able to go ahead and fill in the gaps to kind of bring it into 2025, even if it's kind of a little bit more of a skeleton structure? So love to go ahead and hear your comments down below. Love to go ahead and hear what your experience with the starter set is. Love to hear what your idea is. So
absolutely. And what are your ideas on where to take the story? Like, we're going to get into some of the story stuff later on, but let us know in the comments where you think you want to take the story from here.
Yep.
Is this a base of operations you would keep long after you're out of 4th level? So this is the basics and build and stay in this area whatever campaign world you choose to place this in, or is this something you're just teaching people how to play and move on?
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what the longevity and the life cycle of this set is for groups new and old.
Agreed.
But also, you can clearly tell that this is so fun and so tactile because I cannot keep my hands off it. I've been punching out the cards while we're doing this. I should be focused on the camera, and I'm not.
You really should be. It's true.
Punching out the cards because it's so cool.
Yeah, high quality video there, folks.
I think that was the goal of the set. They want it to be so cool you can't let it go.
Yeah. Yep. So very successful. Well done. So, please leave your comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'd love to go ahead and hear from you. And as always, if you'd like to support the show more, don't forget to go ahead and check out our Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/ttjourneys. Get early access to episodes, as well as get the chance to go ahead and sit down with me and Lewinika and play from time to time. And some other new stuff that is coming on Patreons now that we have finished the factions book and we are starting to get word out about people actually getting the book in their hot little hands. All right, sir. Well, that is our show for this evening. Starter set. Please leave your comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we will see you again next week. Until then, everybody, have a great night.
Good night, all.